Mike? Mike, are you there? Mike. Hello. Before we get started, I'm sorry. If everyone wants to keep moving this way, we're going to get started. I just wanted to thank the wonderful, where'd he go? Oh, he's behind me. This amazing individual here let us use the space just behind here earlier today to do a crowdfunding meetup as well. We started a couple of weeks ago. We got 87 people, and we're going to try and look at and abuse him in future for all the wonderful work that OPN has done. So thank you very much for all those people who are still around. Please make sure you thank him for all of his graces. He's a good man. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. Feel free to crowd in. Come on, move in a little bit. Don't be scared. I know there's we should pull out some chairs, grab some chairs out of that table, move them over. Don't want everybody to feel too uncomfortable. I know there's a lot of standing room versus sitting room. Okay, everybody, welcome to Pitchit To. Thank you all for coming tonight. So to start everything off, I kind of wanted to give a little snapshot of who we are and why we're here today and where we came from. Today, I believe, is going to be our 16th event, which is, it's pretty exciting. Thank you. I guess you're supposed to make it big off every time you say it's a new number, but yesterday was, we did pitch at York, and York University was, their new innovation center helped push us into that space, and it was awesome. It's at the Cineplex building off Warden and Highway 7, and we had a great turnout. I think there was close to 100 people and 4 great startups, so we did have a very good time. And going forward today to kind of share a little bit about what we've been doing, the whole idea behind Pitch It is we wanted to build a community that could help startups pitch and vet their business and get the feedback from angel investors, but at the same time get feedback from you. Everybody has great feedback, regardless if it's good, bad, ugly, or not. We just like feedback, and the reason being is that we're all trying to work together to get our businesses out into the world and get help from everybody. And the more people that can learn about what you're doing, offer that insight, it's going to help you decide those big decisions one day that you need to make on moving forward, growing. So because I think it makes, it sticks out pretty big for the startups, because that's what they're looking for. So thank you guys for coming. And to give you guys a hand, too, because that's awesome. So if you guys are more than welcome, and we always accept it, and we love it when you guys do, if you guys can tweet, pitch, Instagram, all that great stuff. Our hashtag is PitchitTO. You can send photos, populate stuff. We have the meetup groups. You can add information there, too, but we love all the social support. It's been super helpful. And tonight is session 9 in Toronto. The great thing about what we've been doing is that we're expanding across the GTA, and soon we'll be expanding across Canada, where we're working to build events in Montreal, Vancouver, and other cities. Again, the reason being is that there's startups happening everywhere, and we want to be in there helping them as much as we can. So our kind of mantra is that we want you to spend less time trying to find money and spend more time growing your business. And at OPN, we've been working as an accelerator, which is out helping businesses with all the fundamentals in business, as well as getting you in front of the right people and pitching at the same time, and grooming you and working with you as a business to work your way and get you in front of angel groups. So all of this wouldn't be possible if over the year we didn't have help from some great sponsors. The first one that I always think is the most pertinent one, or we wouldn't be sitting here, is we have to thank Ron and Diane from the Lodge, and they're the ones that put this space together. The other side of it, I guess, and now that I'm looking at the logo, and I totally forgot, as I tend to always do, my name is Jeffrey Potvin, and I guess you guys may want to know that. I don't have my name tag on, but I own and run the software company, Hardboot Communications, which is a custom mobile web development shop. And a year ago, we put together OPN. And the whole premise behind that is that we wanted to find a way to give back to the startup community. And in doing that, it kind of worked through a lot of different variations, and we came up with the whole term, which was Pitchit To. And this is where we were able to jump in and help startups, give them a face, give them some time, and it wasn't a contest, it was about community building. And inside of that, we were able to find ways to help the startup move forward. And that was through getting them in front of the right people and then work their way into funding. One of the great businesses that we invested in over the last few years, one of them being Flow. The water that you guys are drinking, that is provided by Flow. And they're a fantastic company that was seed rounded, I guess, 2 years ago. And now they've built a facility in Aurora, and they continue to grow and build a lot of marketplace for their product. So thank you to Flow. Our lawyers and big supporter of OPN is Miller Thompson. Our sales and driver behind a lot of the locations and the things that we do is Symbol. And one of the partners that we just brought on that we've been working with and very excited about to work with is the China-Canada Club. And they've been running an initiative that we're working with to bring 3 startups to China to pitch their business. So it's pretty exciting. So there's lots of good things that we're working on inside of OPN to, again, work and help with the startup. So I guess to get into the want more space, as we continue to grow and find places that are bringing us into their market, our next big event, which we hope you all can join, is September 6th, which is Pitchit City Hall. It's a great venue. We'll have 4 great startups. It'll be very similar to we have it here. The difference is that it's a lot bigger platform. The last one we had over 300 attendees, and I thought it actually worked out quite well for networking and people to meet a lot of great companies and a lot of great people as well. One of the more fun pieces of all this that we get to be part of, and we're actually bringing startups to as well, is Pitchit Fireside. Has anybody heard of Fireside? It's dear to a few of us for sure. A couple of us have been there since day one. It's 3 years now. I think this year is the 3rd year. And the great thing about what they're doing is it's a weekend for entrepreneurs. Weekend that they can go in, talk over campfires. There's now going to be something close to 400 people attending. And the whole premise behind it is there's no mobile, there's no internet connection. It's really bad. There's like one spot. So you can't even text people. So literally it's almost like you disappeared for 2 days. People are like, oh my God, what happened to you? So even your social won't work. I know. It's going to be tough to stay in touch. No more Snapchats. So basically, it's a fantastic spot for people to connect and meet other startups and other entrepreneurs. So it's a really fun weekend. And we'll be running 2 sessions of Pitch It there as well, where a lot of the startups that are going to be there and the ones that we bring. And Sean's bringing a couple as well, groups. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Pitch It Durham on September 18th. We have the Up series that we work with Frank. And that's the next one is on September 27th. And that runs in Ajax, and it's a great series that we participate in filming and pushing out the content. Pitchit To again in September, Pitchit York on the 24th. And just to kind of backpedal, on September 20th, we're going to be running a Pitchit To Founders Startup Lunch. So if you guys are interested, it's up on Meetup, or you can reach out. And the idea behind this is that we're going to have a fun startup pitch come in and talk to you guys, but at the same time, it'll be a great networking community piece. So you can see the rest of the dates. We have Y2 running October 14th and 21st. Another initiative that we're helping support and work with, it is the youth movement, and it's working with high school, university grade, university students to help them build businesses around, obviously, the community and in all different sectors, fintech across the board. So it's another pretty exciting piece that's going on in the world. And then, of course, our final big event that we'll be running at the end, and there may be another one beforehand, which will be with the China Club, which is the one going to China. That will be running around November 2nd, and we'll provide more details as that comes up. So I'm going to hand it over to Jason, who's going to give you guys a little introduction talk about what we're doing with the Canada-China Group.
Thank you, Jeffrey. My name is Jason Zhang, and from Canada-China Club. We are currently running an event called T-Hill Toronto International Innovation Competition. We are looking for 3 startups going to Guangzhou, China to compete with projects from 8 different countries. We are going to sponsor them all the travel expenses, hotels. The whole idea of doing this, we want to help the community to help the startup to connect with China to find funding, to look at the market, and obviously, doing business in the world's second largest economy will be a fun thing to do. So I hope if you have someone that are willing to connect with business in China or present the project to the Chinese investor in China, the T here will be definitely a good opportunity for you. So if you want to know more information about it, you can go to our website, chinaclubs.org for more information, or you can just talk to me after the event, or just talk to Jeffy as well. So thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Great initiative. Great initiative. Okay, so one of the things that we always like to promote, and if you guys have a business card, please drop it in the, I don't know, the fishbowl. I think there's one out there somewhere, so that we could actually do a draw after, because we're always excited to do little giveaways that help everybody. So we'll do that. And then we're going to get into how this all works, the format. So I'm sure some of you are new. I've seen some people who have come out before, which is awesome. Welcome back, and welcome to the new people. The way this all works, our rules of engagement are set up as they have 11-minute pitch. And the reason we have 11-minute pitch is that in the angel groups, when the companies come in and pitch, they have anywhere between 10 and 15 minutes to pitch an investor portfolio or deck on what they're going to be talking about. And what we wanted to do is make sure we mirror that. We want to ensure that there isn't so much of an indifference, that it's an easy flow. I've done it once, I can do it many more times. So we made it 11 minutes because why not? 11 sounds like a good number to achieve, and I don't know, it's 11, why not? Ones, we're all number one, right? So what we're going to do is you have 11 minutes to pitch. We have 3 advisors. Each advisor will have 1 minute to give feedback to the startup group. We time all of it. Reason being, we try to keep it within time. We don't want to be here for 12 hours giving critical feedback, but we want to give enough feedback that's going to help them benefit the business. And the feedback can be as harsh or as pretty as anybody likes. They cannot speak back. It's a thank you, and we move on to the next advisor. Then from there, we go to 5 minutes of Q&A. This is where you guys come into the picture. Please think of the questions you'd like to ask. Make sure that they are good. Actually, I don't care. Just make sure you have a question. I don't want you to have to judge them beside somebody and be like, hey, man, does this sound like a good question? So you're more than welcome to share. Let me run the mic over to you because we do film and live stream all of this. So this current event is all being live streamed on YouTube, which is pretty exciting. And then we cut it and edit, and we work with the teams with the edited version of the take. So from that, we're now going to move into the advisors. So Galen is our first advisor. He's a York angel investor, and he's also the runner and driver behind Bark and Yap. So thank you. Our second advisor is Sean Stevens, CEO of Tree Frog, and he as well is a York angel investor. And our third advisor is Frank. And Frank Odino is from Vitalize, runs a sales company, and he as well is a multiple angel investor from York and Peterborough, which is the Prem-based system, and soon to be the rest of Canada. Just kidding. Frank. And of course, we wouldn't be here if we didn't have our 4 great companies. And the companies today are Curex, Ubiquitous, My Trip Amigo, and Space I Share. So let's give them a round and make them feel comfortable. So the first one that's going to be up is Curex with Jonathan. So we're going to set up. So you guys take a second to hug your partner beside you, and we're going to get ready to roll. Sure.
time? Or? What's that? So did you guys know that 70% of our entire workforce is employed by the small businesses here in Canada? And out of those small businesses, my favorite businesses are the ambitious ones. The ones that are really trying to help the economic prosperity of our country by expanding their products globally. They're selling products globally, bringing that revenue back to Canada. And are these businesses rewarded for their efforts? Absolutely not. It's the opposite. They're asked to walk inside a bank branch and stand in these lineups when they need to transfer funds, employees, accept revenue from customers in other countries. And not only that, off $1 million, upwards of 1,000 in foreign exchange fees from the bank. There's also wire transfer fees. And if they're doing a transfer on average once a week, it could be upwards of 52 hours a year out of that small business owner or entrepreneur's time. It's very valuable to them. At Curex, we've built an online platform that allows these business owners to do business internationally, but they can save $40,000 out of that same $1 million transaction. They can send money to any country they'd like to, right from their laptop or mobile device, and it takes less than 30 seconds to do, right from their computer. No more walking inside a bank anymore. We have 25 businesses that are actively using the product on a month-by-month basis. Those businesses will save $1 million over the next year because they use our product. They can use that money to expand their businesses and hire new people. Over the next 18 months, we believe with our numbers currently that we can hit 750 customers. They'll be saving $30 million every single year just from using our company. We've transferred over $1.5 million through our system, and we're now growing at about 35% month-over-month revenue growth. The market's massive. It's about $635 billion when you're talking about the global currency exchange market. In Canada, it's about $2.4 billion. The US, about $7.2 billion. And out of those customers, there's about 1.5 million customers that are readily available on LinkedIn and other online mediums where we can bring down our customer acquisition cost. So what is our go-to-market strategy? Currently, we're using words, we're using Facebook ads, and we've built an in-house LinkedIn AI. So it automates messaging to our target customers, gets them on the phone so we can schedule demos. And we're finding our conversion rates are doing pretty well. We just don't want to give it to you because tomorrow it'll be different. We're still early. We use Google Tag Manager instead of plain old Google Analytics because it's much more effective. Now, with the universal metrics that we can use, we have Google Optimize, we have AdWords conversion tracking, and Google Analytics that gets us better information on our customers and how they're using the product and how to better market to them, which of course increases our conversions. Also, for our unique HTML stuff that we have in our Tag Manager, we use Facebook Pixel to track all of our Facebook traffic. We use Google Active Campaign, which is what we use for automated marketing, and we do them in different channels. With that, we can use triggers and target them in different paths. So along the buyer's experience, we can increase our conversion rates from that. And then we use Sumo to capture emails as well. So this is a massive market. There's a lot of competitors in the space, but using these online strategies lowers our customer acquisition cost and allows us to reach our market less expensively. And when we don't have to deal with legacy technologies like the big 5 banks or others that are out there, we can offer cheaper pricing and an easier product. But this is just the first product. The vision for the company is to build a fully online bank for these underserved small business owners. And we have the partnerships to make that happen. So currently we offer invoice financing through our partnership with FundThrough. We offer checkings and savings accounts and commercial mortgages through our partnership with Zag Bank. We offer loans and lines of credit through our partnership with Lending Loop. And then we have Curex doing payments, foreign exchange, and we've also on the roadmap have a switch into our bank account with just one click. Now, as you guys know, there's no real customer-centric bank that currently exists today. Banks don't tend to care about their customers, not because they don't want to, but because the technology they're dealing with doesn't allow them to offer the experiences that people demand. And you've seen that with companies in the past, right? Where we had Netflix come in saying, you know, Netflix didn't kill Blockbuster, but ridiculous late fees did, right? We have Uber that didn't really kill the taxi industry, but limited taxi access and fare control did. As well, you look at Airbnb, it's not killing the hotel industry, it's limited availability and pricing. So technology by itself is not the real disruptor. It's businesses and industries that are not customer-centric that are at risk. And at Curex, this is a future statement that we hope to say. Curex did not kill the banking industry. High fees, deceitful sales practices, and limited convenience did. So we have the team to make it happen. Our CTO has been through 3 acquisitions before. He has a proven track record to engineering software products from the beginning stages up until acquisition. He's also hired over 100 developers, so he has a proven track record to building companies. Our compliance officer, Matt McGuire, has 25 years experience in banking compliance and regulation, and he's globally recognized for his work that he puts out. Myself, second-time fintech entrepreneur. I went through the Next 36 Accelerator last summer, and I'm in the DMZ currently for the business. My mentor, Kirk Simpson, raised $80 million for Wave Accounting, successfully scaled to our exact target market, which is 2 million small business customers. And then we have the rest of the team, which is a full stack developer, Bastian. Dimitri's our UX UI designer, and Nick is our chief marketing officer. So at Curex, we are reimagining the way that banking should be for business. And let's help those businesses that are being ambitious enough to help our country and provide value to them so they can continue to grow our country. Also, if you'd like to follow we actually document over Instagram stories the struggles that we're going through, the blood, sweat, and tears on a daily basis when I'm waking up in the morning to my morning routine to when we're going to bed at night as a team and how hard we're hustling to make this product available. So if you guys are interested, we post on Instagram and move it over to Snapchat if you'd like to add it. And then there's my email as well. Thank you so much, guys. I'll open the floor to any questions.
Frank first.
Oh boy, see, like you, I get to go first. So Jonathan, I have to be honest, you're a great presenter, first of all. I didn't catch your name until the end. I was trying to figure out what your name, so I can call you by John or Jonathan, so thank God you put it up. I just wanted to, as a person that uses the banking, what trust and comfort do I have that if I'm a business, I'm not sure I'm convinced there? And then the only other thing that I wanted to add is, on your team and the management, who has actually been working for banks before? You have a lot of people there. I see M&P and a few others, but they're from the accounting side, Deloitte and Touche. So is there somebody in your management team that maybe could be from that sector that could help you further? Okay.
Jonathan, very good presentation from the presentation side. Like Frank, I think that there's, making sure you stay up front who you are. The other is it took me a little while to figure out exactly what it is that you do. So I think you start with your problem statement, but you need to get into that solution right away to let us get our heads wrapped around, okay, what is the solution, so that as you go through the rest of it, it starts to then filter down as to how do these pieces all fit together. I didn't see much on the financials at all. You said that you have processed $1.5 million, but nowhere in there what kind of money you're making out of this. What is really, how does this thing scale up? And then the other is, I didn't see anything as far as anything for the future for this business, and likewise no ask. So if we were an angel group, we'd certainly want to understand what are you looking for, and what valuation do you have in your business?
A bunch of notes here. One is, wow, fantastic presentation. Seriously, that is seen a lot of presentations, and it's killer. In terms of fintech, this is a major pain in the ass. I've had this as a pain in the ass. I know other people have had a pain in the ass. However, that leads me into fintech's a tough space because I'm not sure I believe that a new startup is going to handle my $1 million transaction. I have to believe you, and so what makes me want to believe that other people are going to believe you? That's a tough one. I'm not sure you sort of handle that. I'm not sure how to do that. Also, when you're talking about the $1 million transactions, you're missing out. I'm like, how many $1 million transactions are there? I mean, I'm sure there are, but I can't see that. And you know, as a maybe I might have done one or two of those recently, but no, it's not like a regular thing. Like, where's the $10,000 transaction? Where's all the other money you're going to make? And what does that look like? That was a question. Also, you said we believe we're going to do this. Honestly, you should never say I believe anything. We're going to do this or we're not. This is the old never apologize. If you ever stand up on stage and you start apologizing for anything, you already lost the audience. You lost the investor. Like if it's too late. If you're apologizing, you should never use the word believe, never apologize, that kind of thing. Last but not least is the presentation is so good. You're so good. It's almost becoming scripted, and I'm like, so am I starting to lose the passion? Like, I kind of want to see more. Like, I'm super passionate about this business, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm missing that. There's something in there. We should talk maybe afterwards about how to catch that. And last but not least, though, I got to say, just the way you thanked Frank and Galen, you never see that. Like, usually startups are like, yeah, you're a stupid investor, and you're a stupid investor, and you don't know my business. No. Even the Canadians, they never do that. They're like, yeah, you don't know my business. You're an idiot. So just the fact that you did that, I would invest in you on that. So congratulations.
Thank you. That was way longer than a minute. All right. Yeah, he's going to share the ask, but we'll do that in the next.
Yeah. So I forgot to say the ask, but we're looking at raising $500,000 in a convertible note if we can, open to as well. We'll get up to that $2 million in ARR, 750 customers with that money.
Okay, thank you. All right, guys, who has questions? All right, here we go.
Hi, great presentation. Thank you. How does Bitcoin and blockchain change your business model?
So huge advocate of Bitcoin. I've been a nerd with this for over 3 years. We partner with OK. They're a subsidiary of OK Group, which owns OK Coin, the largest Bitcoin exchange in China. It's not liquid enough, meaning there's not enough buyers and sellers in each market that we're in to be able to enter and exit with their average size transaction, which is $20,000. So we're at the forefront of it ready, but it's just not there yet. There needs to be more each market that we deal with.
Okay, great. Anybody else? Yep.
Jonathan, a really nice presentation. So I'm just going to talk to you from just personal experience. The customers that are dealing with banks right now, the ones that want to wire $50,000, $100,000, they're importing, exporting goods, etc. There's the whole like letter of credit. It gets very convoluted. It's legacy. You know, there's the whole irrevocable versus revocable, all these terms and red clause and all that stuff. It's a really complicated and old system. And you know, something like this, people would love, but you know, there's the whole blockchain thing, which this gentleman just mentioned, that's coming up. They're going to start looking at ways, from what I understand, in terms of simplifying that process and adding it to the blockchain. So, I mean, whether it's on the actual currency or the coin that you were just talking about, I'd be interested in knowing kind of how you're going to evolve and maybe add in those APIs to your system to be able to handle transactions on the blockchain, because it looks like that's where it's going to go. And then secondly, would just be giving that credibility, that reassurance to the types of customers that want to wire, you know, these large amounts of monies internationally. How are they going to trust you guys? Because even the banks don't get it right these days, right? Like, you'll wire the money, sometimes it gets held up for 2 weeks, it screws everything up, and they, you know, they've been doing it forever. So what's going to make me feel like, you know, you guys are faster and more efficient just right out the gate?
So I'll talk to the second one first. So we partner with Barclays Bank in the UK. They're a global leader for payments. We connected with their APIs. That's why we're able to efficiently send money around the world. A lot of the processes with Canadian banks are still with Excel spreadsheets, and you're uploading CSVs to these people to do your wire. So that's why things get messed up. For your first point, we're actually looking at doing an ICO. So we partner with people that are the software developers of Jack's Wallet, if you've heard of it. And they're actually, we're looking at finishing up our white paper and seeing if there's something there. The purpose of that would be to have an escrow account and process the information on the blockchain for our KYC and for the suppliers and the buyers to be able to communicate seamlessly between each other. Because we find that they're hopping on Skype or doing things randomly to try and message back and forth, and you're right, it's very archaic to do. So we're still looking into that stuff, but we'll see what actually is the best path to go. Right now, my focus is revenue, that's it. I'm just getting customers.
Perfect. One last question.
So as you are talking, I just received 10K on an app, Alibaba, right? Alipay. So I guess for me, especially, because I do a lot of business with Asia, especially China, one of the issue is actually receiving money, not just sending from Canada. So do you guys deal with that?
So the reason that one's so tricky is that we are licensed in Canada through FinTrack, and we have to get money transmitter licenses in every country that we deal with. In the US, we have to get it in each individual state to do. So it's a bit longer of a process. Instead of doing, if you've heard of the company TransferWise, there would be a competitor. They're more peer-to-peer for individuals, but their goal was to expand to every country and be really good at payments. Ours is more depth. We believe that you need to offer everything that you would have in a full-service bank to be able to offer that to our customers. So, I mean, in general, it's not really what we're trying to do. We're not trying to compete with PayPal. We're competing with banks. That's what we're doing. So it's a different mission, I guess.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. Okay, our next group is Sarah.
Hey everybody, my name is Sarah. I am the CEO of Space I Share. Space I Share is the peer-to-peer marketplace for self-storage, including boats, cars, and RVs. I want you to meet my Auntie Joan. Auntie Joan loves two things more than anything else in the world. She loves white wine, Chardonnay, that's the name of her dog as well, and she loves her family. And she took a job out in Edmonton a couple of years ago, and knowing that she would come back to her family here in Toronto, she put all of her stuff into self-storage. And the price tag was $12,000. Her stuff was worth probably $3,000 at best. And I looked at my empty basement and I thought to myself, there's just gotta be a better way. And did you know that the average household has 300,000 items in it? Where the heck do we put it all? Well, 1 in 10 Americans and 1 in 20 Canadians use self-storage. Traditional self-storage facilities, they're often expensive and they're very far away. And in addition, city bylaws are making it more difficult for self-storage companies to develop in urban centers where it's needed the most. Now at Space I Share, you can share space with your neighbors. Think driveways, garages, sheds. Costs can be up to 50% less than traditional self-storage facilities, or it's a more convenient location to store your vehicle. We are building a marketplace where people can share space in a safe, trusted, and reliable environment. For hosts, renting out space to store someone's stuff is a lot easier than hosting an Airbnb guest. And hosts get to dictate all the terms, the price, the access, the house rules, and they get to choose their renter. So renters can go online and browse, book, and pay for listings within their community. And renters get the benefit of having up to 50% or more off the space that they normally would pay. We provide them with legal documents that they share with their host, and we provide a $2,500 assurance guarantee should anything happen with their belongings or with the host property. Space I Share takes a 15% fee off every transaction, which can occur weekly or monthly, month over month as recurring revenue. And we cover most liability, insurance, and legal. And we take those three things very seriously. So in addition to the legal documents that are shared between the host and the renter will tell the host and will outline in the legal document what it is that they are exactly sharing. In addition, they will also outline what they are not allowed to put in their space. So things like chemicals, drugs, live things, dead things, nothing is allowed of that nature. something similar that you would have with a storage facility. And we also offer the assurance guarantee of $2,500. But we are also in talks now with the world's largest insurance adjuster. These guys are looking to partner with us because they can see a big opportunity of space sharing. And they know that the problems that can potentially happen when people share space. So they give us access to an enormous network of property managers, landlords, condo boards, people that are interested in having some of their clients and tenants share space. And they know that there is a lot of sharing economy businesses that are disrupting traditional industries, and they want to join us for the ride. If just 2% of homeowners were to share space, we have a $1.5 billion total addressable market. One of our core targets are millennials. I mean, 3% of them said the number one space I share listings and paying customers. About $15,000 has gone through our platform, which equals about 150 transactions. What we found is that 80% of those transactions were more around the vehicle storage and the parking, and most people were booking space for 6 months or longer. So while all of that is good news, what we are also realizing is that the peer-to-peer marketplace takes a lot of money and it takes a lot of grassroots initiatives. And in order to appeal to an investor, to appeal to investors, we know that there is going to be a pivot required where we need to go after more commercial space. And working with strategic partners will do just that. So one of the things we are learning from our strategic partners is that there is a big challenge being faced right now with property managers and condo boards, and that is the sharing economy. The sharing economy is currently a $15 billion industry, but estimates are putting it in 10 years at $335 billion. And our goal is to get in front of this problem. So with condo boards, what we plan on doing is reaching out to people within Toronto and then spanning across Canada and into the US as our site becomes more robust. And think about all the various condos that you see right now. There are people sharing space. Storage lockers, parking spaces, event spaces, they're subletting, they have one overnight stays. And what we're going to do is give them a platform that will allow them to share space within the domain that they control and also profit from. So the $35 billion industry spans across cities and urban centers, but it's also being very disrupted. And we already know that storage can be a hot topic, funny enough. So companies like MakeSpace and Clutter have just raised huge rounds. But as a renter, if you want to have access to your things on a regular basis, like golf clubs, then the cost can become too high. And then when we take a look at Craigslist, we know that there are over 10,000 listings in 5 major cities for storage and parking. Yet there are no reviews, there's no insurance, and there's no easy way to pay. Our vision, our long-term vision, is to become a space hub. We have started with vehicle storage and plan to grow the storage category, but we eventually plan to go into events, subletting, and more. And our team is the team to do it. We have a proven track record of success working together. We have over 50 years experience in sales, management, marketing, and operations. My co-founder and I, we worked at a digital media startup with sales leaders there, where we booked more ad revenues than Yahoo and AOL. Our CTO recently had an exit at Bitstrip, and I also managed one of the other developers at a startup where I was the general manager. We've also had the great support of Mars, OPN. We were the top graduates at Founder Institute, and we recently finished up a accelerated program in Boulder, Colorado, that was started by the key guys at Foundry Group. So in addition, we have advisors that are both here and also in the US. MergeLane was in particular started by the top mentor at Techstars, and she saw that there was a huge gap in women who are doing tech accelerator programs, so she created MergeLane. And what she and all the mentors know is that it's not only good to support women in female founders in tech, but it's also better for people's portfolios. So far, we've raised just over $200,000, and that's through Love Money, grants from the government, loans, as well as the Accelerator program. And $100 million within 5 years. And we think that with right strategic partners and channel managers, this is actually possible. Because these partners have global reach, they can get us a customer that would have $2 billion in revenues quite easily. So we're currently asking for $400,000 for 20 company. That would allow us to get 800 more monthly matches, which would give us about a 7,500 monthly recurring revenue. We would take a lot of this money and use it towards staff, which is very necessary right now, which would be developers, sales, and marketing people. We also want to bring our cost per acquisition down, which we want to get around the $50. We believe that the lifetime value is roughly about $125 right now. So, we want to find more people like Auntie Joan who wants to save money, and we also want to find more homeowners who are looking to make money from the space that they already have. So we can see less of this, which is an environmental eyesore, and more of this. If you see space like we do, come and talk to me after. I'm Sarah from Space I Share. Thanks.
I guess I can take that too. Thank you. John, you're up first.
This will only take a minute. So number one, fantastic presentation. Honestly, the presentations here just keep getting better and better. It's fantastic. I love that your bracelet matches your presentation, which matches your shoes. I believe, but the thing is, I believe that you believe because you're so in it. Love that. I totally believe in that. In terms of the presentation, there's a couple things that I super worry about that the presentation hasn't caught me. What happens if somebody stores the boxes of snakes or depleted uranium? I really, yeah, I know that's something you can't answer. I love that. So I worry about about the liability or squatters' rights over stuff. That you've got stuff in my garage. I would probably consider myself below average Snoopy, but if there's a bunch of stuff in my garage, I kind of want to snoop through it. So how do you handle that? How do you handle me from not being Snoopy? I don't think that's addressed yet. So you're kind of an investor. The other thing is maybe walking through the experience of people. So I'm somebody, I have a garage, this is what happened, or a parking space or whatever that is. And so what is the persona of the person and what is the experience going to be like? Because this is all kind of transactional data and you don't actually walk through the story of the person. I'd love to see that. And then last, so you showed me some numbers, but what are you going to spend the money on? I'm not sure I know where that money's going. And then do I believe that you have an exit here, or is it going to take me 30 years to get my money back? Because that's not a good investment. Answer that question for me.
Hey, Sarah. I'm well, thanks. Very good presentation. Saw it yesterday, and equally as good. The questions that pop up in my mind when I'm looking at this is I'm not sure who's paying the fee, first of all. You mentioned that up front. And then there's a discrepancy in your slides. I think your earlier slide said it was 15%, but on your financials it said 12%. So there's a mismatch between the two of those, so you need to rectify that. The other is that, like Sean, to me there's a huge risk factor in storing something in someone's house, and it could be stolen goods, it could be whatever. So I think that's something that will always resonate. If I'm an investor, what risk am I taking on with a company that has a high risk profile? And so therefore there also better be a very good return if I'm dealing in something very risky. So that piece of it I think has to be addressed. And then there's the MMR. You showed at the end, but it's not clear in your financials whether these are one-time transactions or whether these are ongoing MMR, and that really, to me, is really critical for this type of business. You need to be showing a strong MMR for this, and I think it was talked about last night that these are the type of things where I might just only need it for 3 months, and then it's temporary storage, so that MMR cycle could be really, really short, and so you've got to continually fill that bucket, which becomes also a very big concern for investors.
Hi, sir. I echo my colleagues' comments. So for me, this is very personal because I have a house that's been stored for about 4 years. So it was great that you started with the personal, but I'm not sure and they're realistic of $12,000 for 2 years. I have the biggest unit. I pay maybe $2,500 a year. So it was great that the personal, but I'm not sure on the math. That whole, how do you work out the scheduling? Because mine is 24/7 access. I have a code. I can go whenever I want. I even tell people I'm going to the cottage and I just sit there in the parking lot, pull up the barbecue if I want. So that was the other. You mentioned, and I'm picking up stuff like this because Sean is really good on this stuff, plan versus I plan on going to see Brookfield. As an investor, I would feel a lot more comfortable saying I went to see Brookfield and this is what they had to say versus I plan to go. I had a note about, it's interesting to see the dynamics of age. I'm taking notes galore here. Not sure on the dynamics of the accessing, the whole scheduling may be inconvenient. You're basing the company at $2 million valuation. I'm not sure how you got that number. I don't see the sales to warrant a $2 million because you're asking for 20. So that's a $2 million valuation. And to echo what Sean said earlier, the exit strategy. Also, I felt that you're talking to me to take this and add versus I'm not a customer. I'm just looking to see, is this a good investment? It's not making a decision for a company. It's, do my wife and I want to put in money in this idea? And how long is it going to get me to take my money? And maybe one of your competitors could have been a buyout or an exit strategy, which I think Sean mentioned. So those are my comments, but great presentation.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, do we have any questions? Sorry. Question?
Yeah, so have you considered actually going after university students? Just because like during reading week, winter break, summer break, you see like a lot of cars going back and forth from like London, Kingston, with like laundry baskets on top of the mattresses and stuff.
Yep.
So you can save a lot of parents a lot of time.
Yeah, a lot of people we speak to say that.
And like the millennials who actually graduate from university would already know about your brand, and then when they buy houses and stuff, they would start using it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just wondering if you've actually considered that. Or
Yeah, we definitely have, and it was something that we planned on doing for some of the marketing that we have planned coming up. So that's definitely a big portion because taking stuff to and fro is such a pain, and just throwing a desk and some books somewhere in a nearby area is a lot easier.
Okay, great. Next question.
Hi, Sarah. Nice presentation. I actually own a self-storage business, and I have had snakes. So that is a true story. Self-storage tends to have sort of three types of customers. Business customers, and then just people with too much. I see your application just concentrating on the latter. So I'm not sure about your market projections. I don't know what they're really based on, but I would look at that as a potential area to put more focus in and see what the real market is for it.
Yeah, we know that according to some big studies that have been done in the US, 80% of self-storage renters are mostly women. And maybe it's them paying the checks, but we're finding that most of our self-storage users are female right now, and usually they're in the older demographic. But we also have a lot of people using parking that are more the millennials. But yeah, we've seen them from various angles to see what is the easiest way to get people. And so far it's actually been women. And we've also been in talks with All Canadian Self-Storage as a partnership as well.
Okay, great. Oh.
Brilliant presentation, Sarah.
Thank you.
All right, my quick question is, what's the competition like? What is your USP and why should, okay, you spoke about the cost being, that's one advantage. Mm-hmm. But in the long run, in the 5-year plan that you showed and the investment that you're planning to raise, I don't really see the IP coming across, which will safeguard you against a lot of big companies who can get into the same space if it's so lucrative as you're projected.
So there are a few other marketplaces in the US that are starting up. One of them actually was an Australian company that bought a San Francisco-based company. I think all of them are having challenges just building out because it does require a lot of money on the P2P side. I think one of our big opportunities is to work with this world's largest insurance adjuster. They work with 80% of the insurance companies around the world. So when we're talking about liability and things like risk, these guys are on the other end taking all that risk and seeing all the possibilities of problems that come along. The benefit is that they are linked to all of these huge commercial companies, property management companies that are also global. So if they see that we're aligned with them and we're building a product in conjunction with them, then they will open up their possibility of using our platform. So that for them will present an opportunity for us where I think we can outbeat the competition.
Okay, one last question.
So I see in the great presentation, I see in the presentation that 80% is parking. What is the strategy to move over to the other revenue streams like storage and so forth?
So the thing we love about storage more than parking, while parking may be more plentiful because people do need parking more than they need storage, the thing we like about storage is that once they put their stuff into storage, it tends to stay. So people will say 3 months and ends up being there for 3 years. So with our new pivot, our plan is more going after the commercial properties. So whether or not they have some self-storage within their own properties and retail companies as well, that will be something that will leverage them with their expertise in whatever space that they have. But on the self-storage side, it's really a big SEO opportunity, which a lot of the self-storage companies don't leverage because it's such a fragmented market. So one of them in the US may spend $1 million a month on SEO, but the other ones don't. So we have some ways through SEO to win that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Great job. Okay, before we get on to our next pitch, one of the things that we like to do is kind of collaborate a little bit more with the audience, with you guys. So how many people here are in a startup or starting a business as we speak? Network with you a little easier when we're all said, done, finished. So 3 people that want to come up, make your way up here. I don't want to hand pick. I'll just get the 3 people in line and we'll go from there. I like it. We got our 3. All right. Coco, you're up.
Thank you so much. Okay, so my name is Coco, and we are starting up a company called Kippin. It's supposed to keep bookkeeping simple. So we're competing with the likes of Wave Accounting, Zero Accounting, and Intuit. So we've created the software, and we're just trying to market it now.
Brilliant. Fastest 30 seconds ever. Thank you, Coco. All right, Toby.
Hi, my name is Toby. Imagine right now you're at home getting ready to go out with your friends to a bar or a club or a lounge. Sometimes it's too busy, you can't get in, terrible. Sometimes it's empty, bad experience. We're building an app that will accurately tell you how many people are inside of a bar, how many men, how many women, and live pictures so you can figure out if it's your scene to have a good night. All right.
Toby, I love it. Great pitch. All right.
Does it work on meetups?
My name is Jacob. I'm developing a company called Monkey Jower, which keeps kids safe, allows the parents to track their location, allows the kids to alert the parents when there's an emergency, and allows the kids to have a cool watch like this one to communicate with both their parents and their friends. And we're currently getting ready to go into a Kickstarter campaign in the next few months.
Awesome, thank you. Well, that was fun. You guys got to do something a little different. And as an entrepreneur, one of the great things that you get to do as an entrepreneur is that you get to jump into odd scenarios, which is something like this, where it's ad hoc to the moment. You got to react and you got to tell your story. So that was a great job. And hopefully next time you guys will all be ready and you'll want to jump up and share your story as well. So before we jump into the next one, I do want to ask one of the angels, or all 3 angels, one question around finances and what you guys look for when you see someone that posts post their numbers or their details and they talk about it, just so that you guys can share with the rest of the audience. Do you like safes? Do you like term sheets that offer a debenture? What are you looking for that is going to be something that stands out in your mind that is a really good opportunity and that you want to jump on?
So I asked that question. You guys can take it in any direction you want. And
There's
Sean,
5 questions there. What is
well, you can find one. Financially, what are you looking for when you look at a business? What makes it sound great? Financially.
That's a good question. Safes is kind of a new thing to Canada, and so I bet you very few people in this room know what a safe is. So that's for our discussion later. I've done a couple of safes in the last 6 months just because I'm super excited about them. Because I think it's fun. It's the paper handshake. It's like, I don't want to spend 5 weeks in hassle. I just want to like throw some money at you and like see if you work. One of the things that in every presentation I see is when I see a graph that looks like it's been drawn by a ruler and like a bic, I'm like, dude, you haven't put the time into even using Excel. So often I see like really bad graphical representations of what it is. If I see that, I'm like, okay, this person can't do math. I don't believe them. In terms of just basic investment, in terms of investment principle though, I'm all about common shares. I love common shares because I love to be in at the beginning and feel like I'm an owner. So.
For me, I actually use safes in my business, so I'm very familiar with them. In fact, I got a safe just for you. But I do like that idea of having a quick and easy way to look at a business and be able to then make that investment on them. But I think a lot of it comes down to me making sure that the numbers make a lot of sense. I don't like to see big hockey sticks up if there's nothing that can back that up. I also want to see that they've also had a really strong look at what their go-to-market strategy is. Most pitches I've seen, they don't really take into account what the costs are going to be around getting to market for the specific industry they're in. And if they haven't really done a deep dive in that area, most companies where they do fail is in getting the product to market and typically blow their brains out on the cost to get it done. And if they've underestimated that just to show a huge amount of profit, I'm not interested.
I hate numbers, I have to be quite honest. So I always look at the jockey as much as I look at
numbers. I always believe that you do what you do best, and to be quite honest, the numbers are not my expertise, but I would urge you that you educate yourself on what a safe is. I used to think it's somewhere I used to keep stuff at home, in the basement, and there was a little thing where you open it. That's not what it is. About 80% of the deals are the common shares and the convertible. Did I say convertible like a car? You know what I mean. So please educate yourself so that when you are negotiating with the angels, you're just as educated as they are when you're talking. And on the numbers, every portfolio that I have so far that I've invested, and I've been doing this for about 2.5 years, 3 maybe, have all been with people that have had traction, that have actually, it doesn't have to be millions, but I went to see Brookfield and they said they're interested, and here's an order, that impresses me. And then there's something to build on. So I hope that helps.
Okay, I'll plug them. Okay, so there is a great facility that everybody can go and find information. Financials is always the toughest part of any business. I'm going to say that 95% of people in this room are builders, which means that you have an idea and you're going to town to get that idea done and out the door and running. The things that become harder are how am I financially going to make this work, and other things like generating a lot of sales and data. The key to what I think that they're saying here is that if you focus on making sure you come up with the data and the numbers, that will help you generate when your next steps are with the angels and putting together term sheets. The term sheet will come down to, is this going to be a convertible debt? Is this going to be a safe? Is this going to be common shares? So there's a lot of different avenues you can look at, and make sure you educate yourself on them, because those are the things that are going to make or break how your business moves forward. And don't stack your table, because at the end of the day, the last thing you want to do is have 30, 40 people on your cap table. Figure out how to make sure that this is a clean, easy transaction. So we can all talk about this for days and hours, but I just wanted to give you guys a quick little insight, give you a little sharing so that we're all kind of on the same page, but at least you understand where we're all coming from. Oh, yes. So NACO is a great repository online. You can go check it out. They post all of their information around how you should set up a company, different ways. They have little courses. You can download them. You can watch them. It's great information. So I implore you guys all to go check out NACO. And they have a summit coming as well.
Module 101, Angel Investing 101, National Angel Capital Organization, and Module 105,
We're going to post this all on a blog because if I'm going to have to say all this, we're going to be here all night. So we'll share all that information. But to get ourselves moving, we had our educational piece. Thank you all for listening. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to have James come up. So James, let's have her.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming out tonight, and thank you to the advisors here. My name's James Daigle. For those that don't know me, I run a hardware electronics company in Newmarket, just north of the city, and we're creating internet-connected sensors. And we need a clicker here. Thank you. Internet-connected sensors for monitoring things that are going on around your home or office and stuff like that. But while we were doing our journey of creating this hardware product, which we think is a very versatile product that can be used for many different things, we realized that there was a growing need in the aging population. So we had to pick a market that we were really going to make an impact in a short term. And that's what we decided to focus our energy on, is the aging population, how we can look after our parents or our loved ones as they age. So if you've ever had a chance, if you have ever had the responsibility of looking after an aging loved one, you know finding peace of mind is the biggest trick. The things that keep us up at night is mom taking her meds? Is dad going to wander out? Are they leaving the stove on? There's many things that keep us up, but just around that alone, there's more statistics that would like really blow your mind. And some of them here, I stated that 1 in 4 people will lose a job or have to leave a job because they're looking after an aging loved one. And that statistic, to me, in this slide is alarming. But I do think there's a better way, and I'll get to that in a minute. Currently in the market, what people are doing to combat this battle is they're writing notes, reminder notes for mom and dad to take the meds. They're making schedules with their family members of who's going to visit when, and they're spending a lot of time there going back and forth. If they're fortunate enough to get into a care facility, it's expensive and there's long wait times, but there are care for people, but it's limited and it's a long wait time if you've ever had to go through that. So more and more people are staying at home. Seniors are staying at home longer. And what we've done is we created a sensor that monitors things like temperature changes in a house, motion when things happen. So these little sensors here, you can place them on, for instance, on top of a stove. The app will then see that data is coming in, and when the temperature goes up, you can set thresholds of when you'll be alarmed and be texted. So my mom can be making tea, and she can turn on the tea, and when the tea is on, half hour later, the stove still hasn't gone off, and I can set an alarm to let me know that mom's not turning off the stove. Same when it comes for meds. I know mom and dad have to mom takes the meds at 9 in the morning, at 1 in the afternoon, at 5 in the evening. I can set thresholds right within my app that can monitor that and alert me if it doesn't happen so I can contact mom. What we've really done great is built this sharing community around the app. So now usually the responsibility lies on somebody's shoulders in the family that logistically they might be the closest or whatever, but now as siblings and even a neighbor, we can all get involved in the process. What makes it different than what's out there? It's really sleek, it's small, it's durable, and it's easy to use. It's a couple of simple steps to be able to, like I just explained, make something in your home that you use every day a smart object in a smart home. So we can now make that cupboard door a smart cupboard by putting a sensor on it and having the data coming in real time. The competitive landscape, there are a few kinds of products out there that are trying to combat this. One of the most common that we're familiar with is the hub and spoke system, which is you have a base station, you have sensors all over the place in the house, they communicate with the base station and they send data to your phone. That can be complicated to set up. I've tried many of them that are on the market, and it's expensive. We have Bluetooth ones that limit your range. You have to be within pairing distance of your Bluetooth. We're all familiar with how we do that. Arduino boards and do-it-yourselfers, they're great products. You can make some really cool, fun stuff, but it's not an out-of-the-box solution for that person who's busy and looking after mom or dad. Then in our category is Wi-Fi sensors that are out there, are much larger, bulkier, and more expensive to buy. How big is this market? There are 5.9 million seniors in Canada alone, and it's our fastest growing segment of the population. Surprisingly, some of the statistics, like I was saying, it's hard to get in care facilities. Only 3% of that population is in care facilities today. And there's a lot of money being spent to try to combat this problem, and I think we can provide an affordable option. Our revenue model is twofold. The short term, we're focusing on the consumer market. We're going after the direct-to-consumer. We're launching a Kickstarter next month, and we're going after that direct customer. In the future, we plan on going after the commercial partners, and this is where we can see some opportunity for reoccurring revenue. And we are working with pharmaceutical companies and stuff on a vertical to see where we can explore that avenue. But our big thing is going direct to the consumer to get the product in people's hands right now. We've had some traction to date. We did a small Kickstarter, got some great feedback. That's where we focused our energy on the aging population because we saw that's who wanted it when we launched our Kickstarter. And through that, we were able to secure some IRAP funding to be able to reconfigure the board and make it more suitable for the aging population by putting RGB lights in there and making it more user-friendly for that demographic. We went through a couple of programs, Launchpad, Infinity Labs here in Toronto. Great experiences, got some great traction out of that, and we've also been gathering some press. We always love press attention, so if anybody's here, bloggers or anybody in the tech industry, come see me, please. Our roadmap looking forward, we're just about done of our final design, which is probably about the 5th design. And that's about ready to start testing. We're launching the Kickstarter next month, and manufacturing is going to begin shortly after that. Looking ahead, like I said, we are working with pharmaceutical companies. A couple of farms are interested in our technology and what we're doing. We plan to explore those, but what we would love to do is introduce that reoccurring revenue model, and maybe we'll be the next alphabet company for Google. So why we think we can do this is I've done it before. I've created hardware. I've gotten it nationwide in distribution deals with major retail chains, and I'm familiar with that, and I know I can duplicate it. This time around, it's making it easier because I have a strategic partner in TreeFrog, which you guys know, Sean. So TreeFrog has been instrumental in giving me access to professionals that I didn't have the last time around. So there's a lot of developers and everybody that are working in the office that I work out of, so I can tap into that, and they're really helping with this process. Today, what brings us here is we're looking for seed investment of $350,000. We also want everybody in the room to check out ubiquitous.com because we do have that Kickstarter launching next month and some early bird pricing. And we're also looking for some great feedback from these fabulous advisors. So that's Cubic, Ubiquitous, and hope you enjoyed the presentation.
Awesome, thank you. Galen, you get to start.
Hey, James, very good. I think we saw this last night, and I don't want to go into the question on the valuation, because I think that it got addressed last night a little bit, but I think you need to focus on that a little bit as to how you believe that you're getting to that level. I was thinking about this last night afterwards. I thought you should have called it a Daigle. Was it a Daigle? I just thought last night that would be a perfect name for this thing, the Daigle. I looked at a couple things here, and IP was the one thing I don't think is being addressed here. Is what is your IP on this? Is it just your mobile app that's allowing you to be able to set up your communities? Is there IP that you've got protected in your device, which I probably doubt, because it's just a sensor type of thing. I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but as a sensor. So as an investor, that scares me a little bit. That how am I protected? Where is my protection on this from competitors coming in and taking you out or taking over the marketplace? So that is a concern that I would have there. And the other, I think that there probably needs to be more focus on the fact of what is it that makes us that much different. You talk about what's different, and you talk about some of the technology, but you don't talk about your app. And then there were some comments last night about the fact that the community really, I think, needs to be addressed a lot more. That these are the advantages that come out of this type of tool, are being able to connect the community together.
So James, I'm a little bit at a disadvantage because I didn't see it yesterday. It did take me a little bit to figure out what you do. And I have to be honest, and I speak quite fast, I couldn't keep up. I was trying to figure out the competitors. I didn't see very much on financials. I didn't see anything about an exit strategy. You did say you needed the money, but I don't know how you said you're going to spend it, the $350,000. One of the things that I did want to talk about is I look at 5 things. I'm looking at products and services. I'm looking at market, looking at competition, management, and financials. On the management team, there's just you. Where's your advisors? Where's the people that are helping you? You just mentioned this gentleman is helping you, but, because one of the things is the team complete to make it happen? So I didn't get that feeling that the team is complete. I'm not sure that the market, has the company fairly analyzed and compared itself with the competition? You kind of skimmed right through it. That's really important. Maybe they're an exit strategy. I have no idea. So those are some of the things that I just wanted to throw out. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so I'm a little connected to this, but there's a couple of things that I still, about this presentation, that I'm missing. The first thing is, what the hell does it do? Like, I still don't get it. And I know this product fairly well, and yet like, this is the product, this is what I do, this is how I use it. It's the same thing I was saying before, like, there's no sort of persona, this is how somebody's going to use it exactly. This all gets kind of like clinical and like money, but I gotta believe, yes, I gotta believe in the math, yes, I gotta believe in the other pieces, but I also have to believe that this product works and it's cool and it's awesome. And I'm missing that. Yeah, and as far as the math perspective, I still like the whole, like, where's it going and how is the math going to work? I really want to see, so what's the goal on the Kickstarter launch? How much money are you setting it for? Like, all that stuff. And then why are you looking for pre-money where you're, and growth capital when you're putting on a Kickstarter? That starts to get all screwy. So I want to see that connection.
Okay, great. Thank you. Get to hold this, and I'm going to get some questions. Okay, what questions do we have? Okay.
I like the idea of the products. Trying to understand how many of these you need to have around the house for this particular people, and are you thinking about allowing communication with those devices as well, in terms of how, I'm trying to understand how it works. Basically, you have these sensors, what happens to it, and then you get these alerts on your phone, but then what action do you take and how do you take that, and how do you integrate those feature actions into that device?
Good question. And to address that question and something that you said, there was a whole part of that presentation and that I skipped out that I normally do. So my bad on that. And that's one of those things we dropped the ball on that. But to answer your question, typically in the case scenario that we're saying, it's usually starting out will be about 4 or 5 sensors to look after a mom or a dad. So you want to measure the main things like the front door, the pill bottle or the medicine cabinet, the fridge to make sure they're eating regularly, and the stove to know, those 4 or 5 main cases. But going forward, the same people that are looking after mom or dad also have a house or a business or a family that they're looking after. And what I didn't go into and to what differentiates us is the whole community sharing that I didn't get into much here that I normally do. My apologies. But we're building a community around data. So now my family's all seeing the same data from mom and dad, but I can also see the data that's going on in my house on the app, my business, so I know if people are going in and out of my office and everything. So a whole suite of them, you might have 10 or 12 sensors. But to look after mom or dad, to answer your question in short, is 4 or 5 sensors should be great. Yeah, one of the big things with security companies is that monthly charge. And so with no subscription base on the consumer model is great. But on the commercial side that I didn't get into, it will be a subscription model probably to keep the data longer and hold on to that data longer. They'll want the details for that. Whereas a consumer product may not need that data.
Right. So there's a question here, Xiang. Very good presentation. Design is very good as well. Definitely the market is there. My question is, have you done competitive analysis who's actually you're competing against? Because one segment I know is the home monitoring market, right? Yes. So I know Xiaomi actually launched the wireless cameras, which has infrared. So all of they have AI as well. So if you, for example, if your mom or dad or anyone lay flat on the floor, they will alert because that, the image recognition can immediately tell somebody is in trouble. And also it comes with infrared, so there is a optical temperature sensor as well. So how do you compete against those if it's just one camera that does the whole room?
One thing that we learned, like we went down to CES and talked to a lot of companies that are in the space of sensors, and there are a lot of sensors. There's always going to be competition, and the reason I don't list them is nobody's really taking the charge and leading out front. We have done competitive analysis with a lot, but it is a big market, and those products, like I mentioned before, they're expensive, the different stuff that we put in. Where we're making it affordable, this is like an entry level to get in for that person who's looking after mom and dad, that mom and dad are great living alone, but you're just wondering, are they going to be okay? So that entry level before you re-outfit, like there's pressure sensored floors and there's a lot of different stuff that can be done. But this is the entry level to look after mom and dad, add that peace of mind for affordable cost.
Okay, one last question.
Talked about a lot of your competitors and what they're doing and the bulkiness or the inadequacy of their products, but you didn't say how you're doing anything different or how your product is different. You didn't talk about specifically your product. So I'm just curious how you're different than those competitors and how you've been able to put such a amazing sensor in that little space and no one else has been able to do that.
That's one of the things that we pride ourselves in is the size. And one of the things we did is we made it a 1-inch cube. It's a standard. Everybody knows what an inch is. And we did a lot of work to get sensors into that 1-inch cube. So that stands apart. And it took a lot of battery algorithms and investigation and research, R&D into our battery to be able to do that. Some of it is proprietary. But I'd be happy to talk to you later about it. It's a sleek, sexy product. It's Wi-Fi connected. We're not doing Bluetooth, although we do have the option to put Bluetooth in it later, but that complicates the setup and having 2 antennas, and I don't put all that into slides or whatever, but it complicates the procedure of the setup.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, our last presentation, and not the least, not the last, not the first, Keaton.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm Ketan. I'm the co-founder and CEO of My Trip Amigo Travel Scheduler and On-the-Go Assistant. So before I start, I want to thank OPN for giving this opportunity. And with the last presentation between you and the drinks, but it's travel, and I hope everyone loves travel. So let's go for it. So the way we proceed is I'm going to take you through a journey of how we started it, where we are, and where we're looking to head to, right? So this is me about 10 months back. I used to live in Switzerland before I moved to Canada, and that's where the idea came from. I was working with a corporate, used to travel about 60% of the time. The problem that I faced was there are a lot of tools that help me plan a trip, but actually creating a schedule, integrating everything together really quickly was not possible. And then secondly, another problem that I faced was when I was actually traveling. Now, if there are any changes, be it like my flight is delayed or my meeting got canceled, or I don't want to follow my trip and do something else, my trip was static, right? So let's look at the first problem of why scheduling is so time consuming. Because when you think about creating a schedule, you're looking at multiple things like accommodation, sightseeing, transport options, meetings, etc. But in reality, it's actually a math problem when you look at it. You're just looking to solve for 3 inputs: where, how, and when do I want to travel, right? Now, because the trips that you get are static, they're more like PDFs. If there are any changes when you travel, like a flight delay or your meeting got canceled, or there's a long line, I don't want to stand in that line. I want to skip it, buy an experience on the go, and do that. There's no way to do it with your present trip. So that's where the whole thought came. What if I could create an online platform that could automatically convert inputs and preferences into a trip schedule? Right? And now you could use this on your app to navigate offline, make changes, buy experiences, everything real time while you're traveling. So this led me to take the unnatural step. I quit my job in 2016, moved to India, hired 2 engineers to build a beta product. In December 2016, I moved to Canada. In Jan 2017, we did an alpha launch where we invited 1,000 users to test it out, more from a B2C side. And 99% loves the concept. So the next natural step was to build a team. So I knew Ashwin is the co-founder and CTO. I knew him for 2 years. And he's an avid traveler as well, has worked in the Valley, worked with startups. He was on board. And then Jay and Lynn also joined me. So in 3 months, we built a really good team. The common thread binding us all together was a love for travel. So we did a lot of research. From June, we started cold calling. We started cold calling people, whether they would use it or not. We started cold calling businesses. And between this, what we realized was that travel agents is a huge opportunity that no one is looking at, the whole travel agency market. Three main reasons. Number one, they're still stuck in the 90s. So this is actually a photograph of one of the biggest companies called Contiki, which is owned by the Travel Corporation. And this was a photo taken a month back where they still give handwritten note to people on what they can do when they travel, right? And then the second point was that companies like Airbnb are coming to experiences, making things digital for millennials, and travel agents are really struggling against this. And number three is that once a sale is made, so someone comes to me, I make a $1,500 trip, I give it to them, my job is done. How can I monetize the aspect that they're traveling and I can sell something while they're traveling? That market doesn't exist today at all. So what we did at this point was we started talking to travel agents and trying to understand how much would they pay for it if they had something like this, right? And everything is based on commission. So if they sell a $1,500 trip, they make $150 on it. Now, what percentage of what percentage of the commission would they pay for something like this? And they said on an average of 3%. We made it 1.5%, which puts this market at roughly $10 billion with upsides like analytics and actually selling these deals when these guys are traveling. So the next question is, how do we benefit these guys, right? What are we trying to sell them? So better user experience and customer service while they're traveling, empower travelers to do a lot of things on their own rather than being lost or calling the travel agent time and again, and then automate and reduce the time taken to actually make a trip. So when we spoke to some of the travel agents, they said the high-end ones, the ones who create luxury trips, they say it actually takes us up to 3 months to co-plan a trip with travelers because of all the changes we make. So we could actually reduce that to a single session of 30 minutes. So what does it look like? So like I told you, we have a beta product working. So this is just a customer journey. So a travel agent could come in, they could either plan a new trip, or they would have a lot of trips that they already have pre-made, customize it, and in a single click, it goes through our algorithm, and you get a trip like this. Now, this trip actually comes on your phone. So this is what the end customer would see. So this is a trip that someone created. I could build on top of it, because a lot of these trips would cover 50% of your entire trip, and you can actually build your own trips on top. You could do that. You could access them while you're traveling, and it comes with mid or offline navigation. So what are we adding? So going forward, we're looking to add the possibility of adding notes. So a travel agent could give you a note even while you're traveling, like push a note. These trips can recalibrate on their own. So if you're traveling, like if flight is delayed, it's going to give you a message. Your flight is delayed, do you want me to recalibrate your trip? And it can do it automatically because it works in geofencing. So it'll understand that you were supposed to land at the airport at 7, but you're here at 10, you're late by 3 hours, and it knows which of your commitments are fixed, which of your commitments can move around, so it'll automatically give you an entire new trip. Right? And then sell experiences. So I'm here, I want to go have Thai food. I just press a button, I see a Thai restaurant on the side, and I have a deal on it. I could just take that while I'm traveling. So this is the pricing. This is what we've already discussed with travel agents, agreed to, and I'll show you that we actually have 4 initial people who are willing to work with us at this pricing. So it's a 2-part pricing where we price them for the scheduler, for giving the core technology, and we charge them on a per user login on the app. So this is the market validation. We actually started cold calling and cold emailing travel agents from 1st of August. So in the past 20 days, we have 4 customers who are willing to work with us, given that we can build a product by December, and these would be worth 125,000 Canadian dollars. At the same time, we're in talks with Flight Center, so the business development head for Canada for Flight Center is interested to take this in. They have their own company called Top Tech, and they believe that they could really make use of this technology. Revenue projection. Sean, I know you said that you don't like graphs that go like this, but this is what we actually calculated. So this is based on what people are willing to pay for the product. Where do we look to go by post-2020? So the graph that you saw was still 2020, but beyond that, we're looking to add artificial intelligence, so you don't even need to create base trips. Base trips can get automatically created once you put in the profile of who your consumer or customer traveler is. And at the same time, we believe that we can be the technology platform for most of these big companies, so we would actually hold the data of how people behave when they travel. So no one holds that data, and we believe we can do a lot of analytics on that and actually sell that. For the angel round, this is what we're looking for. So we're looking for $350,000. Most of it goes into technology because the product right now is really beta level and to implement it with the first 4 customers who want to work with us, we would need to build a team to do that. And this would give us a runway of 12 months, a convertible note, and we're quite positive we can generate revenue of $200,000 in the next 1 year. So, and last but not least, these are the exit options. So we see this as 2 focus. Technology focus is someone wants to actually integrate their own businesses using our technology, so like Expedia and Priceline. Or, for example, Facebook is really trying to capture data of how people behave when they travel. That's why they introduce all their check-ins and stuff like that. So we believe that Facebook would be a very good player to actually just buy it out for all the data that we have on how people behave when they travel. That's it. Thank you.
Oh, great, thank you. Frank, you want to go first?
Okay, so Ketan, I'll say it's a great presentation, but I wouldn't be fair and I would be lying. I lost you. I lost you. There's a lot of writing there. I still don't really know what you do. I think you have way too much writing in the presentation. I don't see any traction. I don't see how you're going to scale this. Your extra strategies are very aggressive. I mean, Expedia, Facebook, Airbnb. You're asking for 350,000 of 200,000 going to technology. I got to tell you, angels, me personally, I don't want to invest in something that may work and it's going to come out. I'd rather invest if the technology was done. You're an engineer, okay, but you also present like an engineer, right, as opposed to the marketing, which is very important. So if I have to be really brutal, if you were an angel, you would have a lot of people at a certain point within the first few minutes on the iPhone looking down. And I think that's not fair because there may be something there, and it's not my expertise in here, and I'm 55, I'm not a millennial, but I'm still trying to figure out what is this? And that's just my opinion. I apologize if I'm a little bit rough.
Ketan, I think the approach, I agree with Frank. No need up front to tell us what the journey is going to be, how the pitch is going to lay out. Don't need that at all. A lot of words on your slides, so I think you need to really bear that down into just a bullet points. As much as people say we don't look at slides, we are listening to you, but we want to be able to see some pertinent points that help us to bring together your conversation. When it's a bunch of words, to Frank's point, you just start to get lost. So your eyes glaze over, and I'm just not sure the flow was all there. It was kind of, here's a bit of a problem, here's a little bit of solution, here's a bit of a problem, here's a little solution. So it's kind of snaking around. So you need to be a little more clear as to, here's the problem, here's what my solution is. I wasn't exactly clear on the revenue, from a marketplace perspective. I mean, I'm an older traveler. I've traveled a lot. I don't know the last time I ever used a travel agent, and I would bet you the millennials aren't touching travel agents. If they are, they're going online to book something, but they're not booking all those other experiences. And maybe that's the problem for the travel agents. Need to figure that out. But there's other products out in the marketplace, Tripcase and all these other things. So I don't see any competition. I don't see anything that you're talking to a competition of what the consumer side would be focused on, what they're going to use. They may not like something like this where I don't know if I have to pay for this app to download it and use it. Probably wouldn't then pay for it. So I'm kind of missing how this gets into the consumer's hand for them to actually use. Okay.
Yeah, I echo my friend's thoughts here. I think that the one thing that's very important is understanding timing. So when is the right time to go to the next stage and start pitching angels, and then eventually through angels get seed, and then start pitching VCs and move up through the next process. One of the things that I would say is, you're already? Really? Come on. I haven't had my minute. I want my minute. You're sort of at the other presentations, I would say, are more founder stage. They sort of figured their stuff out. They're ready to go. They've gotten through the seed. And you're more proto-founder. Like, you've still got this idea. You're at MVP. You're still got these. You're still getting close to the idea, but you haven't figured out. You haven't tested this product yet, and so it's not really ready for growth capital yet. It's ready for sort of whatever that is. But honestly, echoing what my friends have said, I still don't understand what you do. like, what do you do? Like, you have to walk the dumb person in the room through the experience of what did the person actually do and what's the value proposition there. So, and then at the end, you started throwing math around. One piece was, I called 12 people, and I think this is it, and made $125,000. And I'm like, well, then call 36, and then you got $350,000, and you don't have to go to Angels at all, and you're bootstrapping. Woohoo! You skip this whole process. You never need to make a presentation. Just call people. So if you need Angels, you need to explain why it is that you believe you need money now, which is going to create a leverage point or an exponential point. I was talking to Canada's rockstar VC, Christian Lassonde, earlier this week, and he said, look, if you have to start explaining to an investor what it is, it's too late. You've lost the boat. So you need to get to a point with this presentation, not necessarily with the business, but the presentation, that you don't need to explain it to any of us.
Okay, good feedback. Good feedback. Thank you. All right, any questions from the crowd?
What stage are you at in terms of the program? What services is the program offering currently to the number of agents that you have put on the platform?
So we have the scheduler that you could implement with whatever portals that they have, and then we can white label and give them the apps that they could give to their customers to manage the entire customer experience. But it's all demo mode. We still need to make it production, and that's why we're raising the money.
So the agents can schedule a trip on the app, but they can't give that to the customers through their mobile app for while they're traveling at this point?
No. Both of these things can happen. So they can create the trips, and they could pass it on to the customers that they can use on their mobile apps.
And it still has that, and it already has that functionality where they can adjust their trip on the go. If things change, they have some downtime. All of that, is that functionality there already?
That is, and it's automated. They don't have to do it. It's all automated. The adjustments can happen automatically.
So what's left? Obviously an app is always being developed, but what's left? What components do you want to add to it?
So it's not production level. So 100 people could use it, yes. But the 4 guys we've spoken to, they in total would have maybe 30 to 35,000 trips. The app cannot support that many number of users, so we need to make the app production level ready.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Hi. You mentioned you have a patent which is for the algorithm itself. Is that a business process patent, or I didn't follow that part of it?
It's a process patent, so it's the application of this algorithm for travel specifically.
That's kind of very hard to pull off. So is it a final patent, or is it just
we filed
provisional?
No, we filed the final patent, but we're hearing back.
So it's provisional right
Yeah.
now?
Hi, thanks for the presentation. Can you talk a little bit about the traveler experience? You talked about linking with itineraries, with meetings, things like that. So that makes me think, as a business traveler, or even a personal traveler who has to work on occasion, am I logging in through my Outlook account? Am I connecting it to my own calendars so that a meeting gets scheduled, moves, allows the dynamic nature of it to happen? Can you talk a little bit about what I'm doing at the end or seeing?
So it will be linked to your calendar, right? So if your meeting is canceled and it got moved, so the itinerary will automatically pick it up. So saying instead of 2, it's at 4. So whatever schedule that you had is not valid anymore. So it's going to readjust it, saying that if you were visiting some other place at 4 and now your meeting is at 4, it's going to pull it out of your entire trip, and it's going to see where else can I adjust it based on when it's open, when it's closed, and stuff like that.
Okay. Well, that's good. I like it. Thank you very much. Okay, so thank you everybody for coming out tonight. That was our 4 pitches. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a quick draw. And Sean, you get to pick the first one. hand in there. Ron from Econo Cups. Where's Ron? That's okay. We're going to take it and send it to Ron. Okay, the second one. Galen. Sarah. I think Sarah just actually scooted out. Sarah's already part of the fan club, so she's out. So we're going to pick one more. Yes. It's L. Edward Lento. Oh, we lost Edward. He's a developer, so we'll hook him up after too. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for everybody coming out tonight. So, round of applause for the startups, for the advisors. Yeah, come on, give the advisors were helpful. Come on. And a big high five to everybody at the lodge for all of their help, all of the sponsors. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming out. September 6th, we have our next event, so we'd love to see you guys come out. It's at City Hall, and yeah, feel free to share the information, and we'll go from there. So I guess to end everything off, I'm going to turn the alarm off because we don't need that anymore. Enjoy yourselves, grab a water, have a glass of wine, enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm Jeffrey Pavin, and I'm glad you guys all came out tonight. Thank you.